The video you're about to watch was shot at the NAMM show in Anaheim in January 2025, and it's now a lot later than that. So you might be wondering, why is Andy putting a NAMM show video live now? Well, there are two reasons. One, I think you're really going to enjoy it. It is full of honesty and emotion and genuine humanity from someone who doesn't have to be that way, Fred at Peavey. He is laying it all out, and it really touched me, and I hope it will do the same for you. The second reason I'm showing it now is there were some embargo things, some things I had to wait for Peavey to release. As we get into it, it's going to make you love something. All right, enjoy it. We made a video in Mannheim in Germany where we went over the history of Peavey, went over the future of Peavey. You made a few promises and a few questions. Yep. Some of the stuff we talked about was quite close to the nerve, and I was trying to hold you accountable for a few things. That video went really well, and if you watch that video, thank you. There were so many comments and people saying how much you loved your Peavey gear, how much you've got Peavey that's from the 70s that's still going. Yeah. But what's happening with Peavey in the future? So I thought I'd ask Fred to see if Peavey have done what you said you were going to do, and because you kind of went a little quiet, you know, and that's not the case for 2025, is it? No, not the case at all. We've got a lot going on at Peavey, and I hope you'll see that some of the things I had hinted to or was alluding to are here now. Absolutely. And taking a step forward, and we're super excited. Yeah, so when I saw Fred this morning, before I'd had my coffee, I said, I think this might be the year that Peavey makes a big impact on the guitar industry again. And for you, when I say that to you, what do you think that means? Well, how does that affect you? Well, you know, Peavey's a unique kind of company. We're 60 years this year, owned by owned by the same person for 60 years. And it's difficult to keep a company on track, no matter what you do. No matter what you sell. Sure. The fortunate thing is we're all gear geeks at Peavey. You know, I've played the gear since I was a little kid, and we're so passionate about it. Eventually, that passion's going to make fruit. I mean, good things are going to come of that passion. Absolutely. So, and I think you'll see some of the stuff around here is the fruit of the passion that we've had for many years. I see it going on. And to have you back at NAMM in a big room, and you might have noticed this behind us, that's a big deal for this year. Yeah, it's so cool. We're going to make a separate video on that and play it and find out what it sounds like. One of the biggest questions, or one of the most popular questions people asked in the comments section was, we want you to bring back this. We want you to bring back that. We want you to, that thing that I bought then, bring it back. You're doing that with a Decade. Is this something that is going to be a fashion for Peavey? Can we expect, you've done one thing, so I'm going to say yes, tick, you're doing stuff. Is this the end of doing that, or is it the beginning? Well, that's a really good question. So one of the things that Hartley always said is, I don't want to reissue anything. And he always said that for a good reason, because he always believes that the next thing that we're making is better than the last thing that we made. And you'll see that there's a lot of retro-looking products in here, but they are all improvements on their predecessor. So we got the Super Festival bass amp. That was a bass amp that came out in 1973. It is the same preamp. It sounds just like the old one did, but it's 6 times the power, and it's about a 20th of the weight of the last one in size. So even the Decade that we're going to talk about in a minute is the Decade, but we've made improvements upon it. Mm-hmm. So reissues are great if they're guitars. Even with the Vandenberg, we've made some changes to it. Now, when it comes to tone and guitars, as you know, some changes are going to be loved by one guy and hated by another, and it's hard to please everybody. But I think that we've taken the time and making the decisions that hopefully everybody will think are better products than we made in the past. But you look at the pedals. I mean, we've got the VTM. That was an amp from the 80s. The Rockmaster, also from the 80s. Lots of people asked us to do that. So we do listen to what people say. Mm-hmm. I read the comments in the videos, by the way, we actually care. So we have taken that very seriously and brought back some products in some form of another, hopefully improved upon where they were before. Sure. So it's going to continue. Yeah. Because I think we've lost a lot of I think Peavey has, in some cases, lost our identity. And one of the things that, and we're all passionate about it. Man, I grew up with the lightning bolt logo, and that was
I wanted to dream to be a part of working for Peavey. And so I think that we were a little afraid. I don't know if afraid is the right word. It's probably a bad word, but
Mindful of?
yeah, of going totally retro and going back to what it was and see how people would react, because I love it. Right.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about it. And when we brought it to the show, I was kind of going, oh, here we go. What are people going to think? But invariably, everybody that walked in here has got a smile on their face, especially older people like me, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
I'm no spring chicken. But, when they look at these, I remember one guy said, why they got the old Decade here? His first reaction was he thought we brought some stuff from the 80s.
Wow, it's so dusty.
Yeah, dusted it off and put it on the shelf. But everybody's smiling, so that's a good sign. We're on the right track.
That's great. Look, there are many people in this room, and there's a lot of people who I'm going to judge and say they're probably into metal music. There's a lot of people who I'd say are into rock music. There's and all the sort of genres in between and beyond those two tiny things. But Peavey doesn't just seem to speak to one type of person. But there are a lot of metalheads here that seem very happy to be here, and they're coming and going, oh, look at that.
Yeah, those are our people. It's kind of funny sometimes, when you got Hartley around and we've got some of the face painter type death metal bands, right? And I don't remember what was said, but it was kind of like slightly disparaging, right? And I said, those are your people, Hartley.
That's your bread and butter.
Yeah, and we love it. I'm a big metal guy from way back, and I love that type of music too. So we have a good family of that core group, but we want to expand it. And I think some of these new products allow us to do that again.
Yeah, I think it's a good first step from my analysis.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I know you said you've read the comments and the video has been quite big, but is there anything that you personally would like to respond to that we brought up last time, or anything that you're particularly proud of that has happened since we met in Germany?
No, I think what I'm most proud of is that, when you came to me before that interview, you said this was going to be a difficult interview. And I said, that's kind of a funny thing to say, because I'm an open book. If somebody comes up to me and says, you screwed up on that, or that was a problem, or this product didn't do that or that, I'm going to defend it. I'm going to listen to what they have to say and see if we can't fix it or make it better. So those and there's a lot of misconceptions too. And occasionally, what we do but worse than anything is probably marketing. We're terrible at telling our story. We always have been. So you get these guys that are on the internet and they're very loud and vocal about what's going on. And I'm so busy working on this or that, or, we're in the business of making product. I don't spend enough time probably defending us or telling the story the way it is. And so it was really good to see that. It was really great to have the opportunity to be able to speak to those things and some of those people. And it was good to see that it registered with them.
Right. The thing, I'm not going to apologize for saying that to you, because that would be ridiculous.
I shouldn't.
But what I'm going to say is that the on-screen persona that you see and the real person, there's a real person behind that.
Yeah.
And some people don't respect that, but often I forget that, even though I'm in amongst it. And I've seen the Fred on the videos.
Yeah.
And the Fred who I met in Germany was not the Fred from the videos. You were an actual human being. And I did kind of not forget it, but I was wary that I might meet the sales Fred. And that's not what we wanted. We wanted Fred.
It's interesting, because I don't ever think I'm giving a sales pitch, even though sometimes it sounds like that, because I'm really passionate about the gear. Everything in here I've been involved in, and I know why we did what we did. Sure. Now, sometimes why we did what we did wasn't a good idea. That happens. It doesn't hit with the market, or the market doesn't resonate with them. And you're always going to have those products. We even have a name for it at Peavey. It's called the Wiggy. So,
what's a wiggy?
Well, find out what a wiggy is and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Wiggy.
But anyway, so when you speak truth to, or you talk to people about the real problems, it usually is a lot friendlier conversation, and it's like, it's good. So I really enjoyed it, and I think that reading the comments, I think it resonated with some of the people. And
good. Well, I've got a list of things. I just want to sort of not throw them at you, but just make sure that I'm covering everything, because I said I would. And the stuff like reissuing was one of the biggest things. And one thing that came up was that people were definitely curious about Peavey's approach to innovation. and how you balance honoring the brand's legacy while still staying relevant to today's players.
Great comment. It's a great question.
It's not one comment, it's a bunch of them
Yeah,
all asking
yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing.
It's a really great question because we exist in so many market segments, and it's very, very different from one thing to another. So if we're talking about a guitar, sometimes you want to be careful not to overanalyze what was a great design, and you want to do it exactly as you had it.
Sure.
It would be like me taking the Vandenberg guitar and putting a big old fat neck on it, because
you?
yeah, I mean,
I'd love you to.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. That would be great for somebody, but
Yes.
somebody that was a
somebody
fan
that had
of
one or somebody that
they'd
always
be
wanted one. What the hell is this?
That's exactly right, and then slap me across the face.
Yeah,
and
with it.
yeah, and it's very different when you're talking Trace Elliott.
Yeah.
Because we have a different design philosophy with Trace Elliott than we do with Peavey. So in certain areas, innovation is always key. I mean that for instance, we wouldn't be able to put a 1200 watt amplifier in that session that weighs 10 pounds if we didn't innovate.
Sure, and is there some, like with your PA systems, is there some of that you've learned as a company within these amps? Is that
The opposite. I'll tell you.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll tell
go
you
for it,
something.
please.
I'll tell you
I'm
something
really
that's
curious.
really interesting because one of the most difficult signals to recreate is a bass guitar slapping and popping. So one of the most difficult for a power amp because it's so dynamic. So when we torture test our PA speakers, it literally is a bass track cranked all the way up that's going because that will kill a power amp. And if it's a crappy power amp, it'll die quickly. And so that's what we use. So it is more difficult to make a bass amp properly than it is a speaker on a stick. So what happens is the technology that we use and have learned from making bass amps applies more to what we do in PA than the other way around.
that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's cool. So
And great. I mean, I'm not a bass player, so I can understand and I can appreciate that. But for me, I've always thought that with the bass doing the high frequencies or the low frequencies, is asking more of everything in that signal chain than a guitar. A guitar is sort of in the middle, isn't it?
yeah, and it's the transients. It's that big whap on that low frequency, the snap on the high frequency, and it's very rough on a power amp. And so
sense.
it is a lot. And one of the this is stuff that if I had hours and hours to talk to you about, we would talk till I'm blue in the face. But one very different thing about our company is the preamps and the power amps, more especially the power amp and power supplies in our products are not off the shelf. We design them. Right. So if you take our friendly competitors and you open one up, you could see a power module that was made by a third-party company. Mm-hmm. That same power module that would be in a speaker on a stick.
Right.
Because they are a lot of companies, and they're fairly good. I'm not gonna, just they work,
sure.
Right? But they fairly work, but they're cookie cutter. Now, why would you do that? Well, because it saves time and money.
R&D, right?
Saves R&D time, money. Just grab it, put it in there, put the preamp on it, away you go. Money. Yeah. And sometimes we're not smart enough to get out of our own way, and we want to do everything really, really well. From a cost standpoint, that's not always a great idea, but from a passion standpoint, we want to do it the best we can. So all of our power amps and supplies for all of our musical gear are made by us.
Right.
And we're not using off-the-shelf stuff.
That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the list of the comments and questions. It said one of the main things was your openness, and we alluded to this at the beginning of this video. And it says, in the previous video, fans appreciated the openness about Peavey's plans.
Yeah.
How do you see transparency playing a role in building trust with your community?
Well, and that's just what we alluded to earlier.
Yeah.
It's just the fact of getting the opportunity to talk to people.
Sure.
I've always, everybody's going to run into a guy on YouTube or Instagram that may not be a fan of your products, and I've seen some pretty funny videos of Peavey products, and then I've seen some that are just entirely so far off base that it's a little hurtful. I mean, we're like, man, that's not right. That's just But if I get the opportunity to find those people, I usually will reach out.
Great.
I will always reach out to somebody that doesn't like us or has a problem, or they don't understand something properly, and see if I can get them on the phone or do a video with them. I'm always like that, right or wrong. Sometimes you're not going to convince everybody, right?
But if you can, what a strong defender that person will be.
Yeah. That's
if
all.
you can flip them around.
Oh yeah, this one guy he was so mad at us about it was a classic series amplifiers, and we'd moved them overseas, and boy, he was just ranting about So I'm like, well, that's not true. This isn't true. And I sent him an amp. I sent him a new Classic 20 and a cabinet, and I said,
Try it. Yeah.
try it out, and then get back with me and tell me what you honestly think. And it 180 the guy. And now he became one of our biggest supporters. Now, that's not always going to happen, but, I think if people can see the eyes or the product through the eyes of the people that were passionate about building it, it changes perception. Because this is like, people think this is a company that's about making money. I mean, heck no. If Hartley were smart, he'd got rid of this
Build Apple computers or something.
And not only that, I mean, he's enjoy his retirement, right? Why does he mess with us? But
it's a passion, as you said.
Exactly. It's because we're passionate about doing
and with this passion, this is what I was talking about, sales, Fred.
Yeah.
You're clearly passionate, and just with the wrong edit or the wrong mood or the wrong lighting, it can look like that,
yeah. I've seen some of my own videos. I was like, do I really look like that?
I can speak for exactly the same.
Jeez.
I'm like, I look dead on camera
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah.
This is why it's so important to me to be so again, passionate.
Yeah.
But what you didn't do, and you talked about defense earlier and defend this and defend that, what you didn't do is defend it. And I think that was a good move, because when a company or a voice of a company gets defensive, it can definitely come out wrong.
No, and I try never to do that. It's not really the defense of it. It's more of the, well, this is what happened at the time. It's a story. It's the story of life.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Sometimes everybody screws up. And we've made plenty of mistakes. And the greatest thing about being under the same owner for so many years is we try not to repeat the mistakes that we have made over and over and over again. And hopefully we learn from those lessons and make better products because of it.
So how long have you been with Peavey, Fred?
Oh, so 21 years as an employee. But before that, I was a dealer for 11 years in a music store. And before that, I played Peavey gear as a bass player. So I've been around the company for a long time.
So it's cut you open and there's some Peavey in there, right?
Oh, pretty much. I bleed Peavey, yeah. And it's, I remember the quick story. This is irrelevant from a lot of what we're talking about. But I came down to Peavey in 1991 as a dealer to attend one of the Peavey training seminars. And I sat in the front row and I listened to a guy by the name of Marty McCann, and I listened to Hartley, and I was just blown away. I mean, I drank so much Kool-Aid. This is probably why I'm standing here to this day. But I remember I went home and I was talking to my parents at the time, and I said, one day I'm going to work for Hartley Peavey. I was, and here we are.
How old were you, sorry?
That was was when I had hair and then long hair. So that was I was 21 or 20.
So still a young man.
Yeah, well,
boy,
I just started working in the music store.
Right.
I still wanted to be a rock star. That was the whole idea. That didn't work out too well, but so and I was so blown away by Hartley's passion for the company. It really changed the course of my life. So,
sorry, just to stop you for a second. People walked in there and went, "Oh."
Yeah.
Just to say what you were talking about earlier. That was nice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Walked in and he got excited about looking at the old stuff. So, yeah.
He's so happy. Hi. Hey, we were just talking about people walking in and being happy, and then you did that, and it's like...
That's all right. It's perfect timing.
Exactly perfect. You carry on having fun, man.
Oh, yeah. See what I was saying?
Yeah.
It's happening all day. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, man. How you feeling right now?
Happy, man.
Happy.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking to us. Hi, Andy. Lovely to meet you.
Oh, yeah. Fred. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
So, thank you, Fred. Let's go to the top comment, and then let's get out of these people's hair.
Sure.
And we can make a third one in a couple of
years'
years' time when you're back with more Peavey products.
Right, yeah.
There's a lot of people saying the old US Peavey gear was amazing. There's a lot of people talking about the first electric guitar was a Peavey Predator. There's a lot of people saying that this was my first amp. Do you think it's fair what some people have said about Peavey in the previous years, and how are you going to repair and, there's been some damage done, right?
Yeah.
How are you going to get those people's trust again?
Just by doing what we're going to say we're going to do and really doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I think life boils down to doing the right thing for the customer.
For the customer.
I mean, really, all this is about, we're in the smile business.
Okay.
I mean,
that
we do.
moment.
Yeah.
That
What we do is we make people happy by helping them with their ability to express themselves with music.
yeah.
So we really are, and just in the business of making people smile. Like we were demoing the Super Festival the other day. Every time I do it, and I turn the distortion all the way up, and I play loud, it just makes me smile. It's like a reflex. I can't even help it, and that's essentially what we do. So, and when you're talking about the legacy of Peavey, nobody loves it more than I do. I mean, I had a huge passion for the stuff we made in the States, for manufacturing in the U.S. Hugely passionate. Probably, I get a little choked up sometimes when I think of, some of the,
You've been there.
some of the decisions we had to make.
I don't know. They don't know.
Yeah,
You were
it's
there,
tough.
man.
Yeah, it's tough. So, but the good news is, I think we strive to make better products than we made back then, and there is always the opportunity to return manufacturing closer to home. So what we have done, and people don't know this. I mean, it's like this is all under the hood kind of stuff, but we have left a lot of the manufacturing machines in place in the United States. It's there. So Hartley was adamant that when we moved some stuff overseas, and we had to do that. It wasn't something we wanted to do. A lot of people will say, "Oh, they're just greedy. They need to make an extra." At that particular point in history, we had so much competition from people that were making things in China. We could not compete. It wasn't, we could make great products the way we were
The
doing
money
it.
you'd have to charge for them would render them.
And us out of a
Unsaleable.
job,
Yeah.
and us out of a job. But that being said, we always want to pull that stuff here. And now with the political environment, things going on, it makes it more imperative to look at those opportunities that we may still have. So I'm not making any commitments to anybody right now, but I would love to be able to do that and bring things back. And we are always looking for opportunities to make that happen and make it a reality.
It's amazing. If
Yeah.
you guys are still set up to do
It's
that,
still- we-
that puts you
yeah.
ahead of other brands who are not, and they've cut the cords.
Yeah, we're still in Meridian, Mississippi. Yep.
I grew up about 2
Yep.
hours from there.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. See, he's emotional. It's emotion, isn't
Yeah.
it? When you're selling is a thing that is intangible. And to round this off is
Yeah.
that I think people have been unfair to Peavey. Why did they pick on? You don't have to comment on this, okay? I'm just going to make a statement now. They've been unfair in certain terms when other brands have done similar things, and I just think you've got I'm not saying that what you did was okay or what Peavey needs to make any excuses or anything, but sometimes people were a little bit too harsh, and those voices were very loud. And I'm going to defend you and say, you've done what you said you were going to do, and I believe this is the beginning. I'm emotional about Peavey. I played Peavey when I was a teen. I hated my friend's amp because it would feed back all the time. Then we figured out it was the pickups in the guitar.
Not the amp.
When we figured that out, we realized,
Yeah.
actually, this amp's pretty good, a trans tube.
That is so true. What you just said. I have to say this. You can edit it out if you want to. But
No.
But one of the struggles we have had with sound reinforcement over the years is we would make great gear at an affordable price. Well, what did that mean? Anybody could use it, right? So
Idiots like me, yeah.
So no, we would get these guys that buy a couple SP speakers and some Black Widow subs, and they thought they were front of house engineers, right? And then you'd have a big band come into town. They didn't know what they were doing. I mean, I've heard some god awful sound coming out of our speakers, and when I walk into a venue and just start cringing because it's not set up right, and that's our fault too for not educating our customers or making it easier to use. And I get that, but boy, we developed a no Peavey on rider kind of thing, not because we made bad gear.
Yeah.
It's because we sold it to so many people, and so many people had access to it, and maybe not, the experience necessary to properly operate the gear. That kind of, and it's funny. It's just what you said kind of rang true to me. That sometimes the reputation that we developed was not necessarily our own doing, and unfair in certain circumstances. But it rings true. But is what it is. We need to do a better job telling our story.
You absolutely do.
yeah.
And that's exactly what we're trying to do now.
Yep.
And we're just knocking away at all that crust around the Peavey inside.
Yeah.
And hopefully you get the time and you get the resources to do that. And go and buy a Peavey Decade, and then they get some money, they can spend it on telling you stories and bring back more stuff. So all those people that said, please
Exactly
bring back
right.
this, please bring back that.
Yeah, there we go.
Spend some money on Peavey, support the company, and then they'll do that, right? That's what you want to do.
And you'll see it. You see it all over the booth. I'll show you some of this stuff in here in just a
Thank you very
second.
much.
And all of it is what our customers have asked for.
There you go. Well, we're going to stop it there, Fred.
Cool.
Because as you said, we could talk to a blue in the face.
Yeah.
Leave some comments, ask some further
More
questions.
comments.
And maybe we come back.
I read them.
And Fred will read them. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's been a real pleasure yet again talking to you.
Pleasure.
And we will see you in another video. There's
Sounds
links
good.
to Peavey down there.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Thanks again.
You're very welcome.
Good?
We're out. That was
Good.
wonderful.
All right.